From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
From making the job of working on the farm easier to growing more resilient crops, we'll head into the lab at the University of Tennessee to see the clever things students are working on. John Deere shocks the market with its latest earnings report, how that's changing its outlook for the entire year. And scouts on this year's wheat tour get an eyeful.
We heard about the drought there and how bad the conditions were.
Some of the heartbreaking scenes they saw and what that could mean come harvest time. Right now on AgDay. Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Drought and freezing temperatures have combined to create what may end up being the worst winter wheat crop in 60 years. The Wheat Quality Council wrapping up its annual tour with a focus on Kansas. Now, scouts finding an average yield of 30 bushels an acre, projecting the total harvest in Kansas at 178 million bushels. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us. And Michelle, the tour is predicting abandonment could be quite high this year.
You bet, Clinton. Wheat abandonment is much higher than normal this year in Kansas, and the reason they have the worst crop since 1957. Now, it comes as no surprise to farmers in Kansas who have faced a multi-year drought, and it could mean more acres will be destroyed before it's all said and done. While an estimated 8.1 million acres of winter wheat were planted last fall in Kansas, it's projected 27% or 5.9 million of those acres will be abandoned. That's above the normal rate of 19%. It's a result of drought, but also freeze damage in April. Scouts on the tour saying the crop was short and heading out at only 8 to 10 inches tall with small heads that won't make it to harvest.
So there was a lot of abandonment across the state, and I think participants realized that we were going to see a lot of abandonment in Southwest Kansas. We heard about the drought there and how bad the conditions were. But I think there was a little bit more surprise that like North Central and Central Kansas had a lot of abandonment as well.
Because of that, the 3-day yield average for the tour was calculated at 30 bushels per acre, which is higher than average in USDA's 29 bushel figure. And it's predicted abandonment will go up because rains now falling in the main production areas of central and western Kansas are coming too little, too late. So more fields will be zeroed out as crop insurance adjusters hit the fields.
So there's definitely an opportunity for more abandoned acres as, you know, it heats up, it gets hot, and if it doesn't get the rainfall that it needs to continue to make a grain, we're going to see, you know, yields go down and abandonment go up.
And she says it's uncertain if farmers will be able to plant another crop on those acres with the limited moisture. Now, based on May 1 conditions, USDA had predicted the crop in Kansas to be higher at 191 million bushels, with abandonment at 18.5%. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. How bad has the U.S. drought impacted wheat? Well, so bad that the U.S. is buying European wheat. Bloomberg reporting at least 2 cargoes of Polish grain have arrived in Florida this year, and more are expected over the next few months. Crop handler Anderson supplied the wheat to Ardent Mills Flour Factory in Tampa. The people involved saying, quote, "It's an unusual trade route, but it makes sense because U.S. wheat is expensive," end quote. And some recent heavy rains are helping to improve pasture and rangeland conditions in areas dealing with drought. We did see an improvement last week with 34% rated good to excellent nationally. That's up 1% from the week before. Meanwhile, very poor to poor ratings sit at 33%. That's an improvement from the prior week's 37%. But the Central and Southern Plains remains the main point of concern.
Led by Kansas, statewide number is 60% very poor to poor, followed by Nebraska, 57%, Texas, 51%, and Oklahoma, 44%.
Meanwhile, several areas east of the Mississippi River are reporting very high good to excellent ratings. It was a weekend that saw summer-like heat across portions of the country. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht has a look ahead to this week.
Yeah, Clinton, something we talked about last week for this week. That jet stream kind of situated more along the border rather than dipping down here to the south. So what that's going to do is keep a lot of the warm air and moderating the same air mass day after day after day, which is why we have at or above average temperatures for a good portion of the United States. Down in the southeast, with a couple of low pressure systems just off the coast, may keep temperatures a little bit cooler. So the story this week is temperatures go up, rain chances stay down. We may get some heavy downpours here and there through the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. Otherwise, into our Monday and into our Tuesday, I should say, we completely eliminate any kind of significant rainfall across the United States. Speaking of rainfall, go ahead and take a look at this. Aaron sending this one in, and great to see in western Kansas showing off his first rain of the month. He says he's glad to have it and adds the drought isn't over, but this certainly gives him a little hope. I'll have more on your forecast, show you what to expect in a Memorial Day weekend in just a bit.
A new study says hotter temperatures and society's diversion of water are shrinking the world's lakes by trillions of gallons of water a year. Now, those scientists say they looked at nearly 2,000 of the world's largest lakes and claim they found 53% of the lakes and reservoirs had lost significant amounts of water. Now, they report from 1992 to 2020, the world lost the equivalent of 17 Lake Meads. That's America's largest reservoir. The study is published in the journal Science. House Ag Chairman Republican G.T. Thompson is signaling the Farm Bill could include language for a Proposition 12 override. In an interview last week with Farm Journal's AgriTalk, Thompson was asked if there is an effort to include something that would override the recent Supreme Court ruling that allowed the California law to stand. The voter-approved law requires larger living space for certain farm animals and bans the sale of meat and eggs from out-of-state farms that fail to comply with these standards.
There was some indication by one of the justices that perhaps they didn't have enough clarity and that the Farm Bill and legislatively would be the place to draw those lines. U.S. producers simply cannot operate in a system where one state can dictate production standards for the entire country. That is so wrong, and so and I can't even think about the negative consequences that would have on this industry.
Now, the meat industry is also urging lawmakers to counteract the High Court's ruling. Sanderson Farms has agreed to settle several price-fixing lawsuits. The lawsuits from broiler chicken growers had accused Sanderson of conspiring to artificially reduce the amount they paid to growers for broiler grow-out services. Sanderson saying in a statement that the company maintains a position of no wrongdoing but wanted to avoid protracted litigation. The company will pay $17.75 million into a settlement fund. Sanderson was acquired in July of last year by Cargill and Continental Grain Company. Now, it's reported many of the allegations against Sanderson happened before that. Markets went on a wild ride last week, so where did things end up and where are they going? Michelle Rook is back with Markets Now next. And later, some really smart products that you could one day add to your farm in the country. Now, if you're a livestock producer, get your phone out and scan the QR code on your screen right now to take part in this sweepstakes. It's the Zoetis Freedom Recognition Sweepstakes by Farm Journal. You can register to win a special edition golf bag or the grand prize, an American flag wall display that we will be giving away on air. Now, that QR code you're scanning will take you to the sweepstakes entry form where you can enter for your chance to win, but you only have until this coming Saturday to enter, so make sure to get registered. Deere & Company blew past earnings expectations and raised fiscal year financial guidance for the year. It's thanks to strong sales for its tractors and precision agriculture equipment. Deere reporting second quarter earnings per share of $9.65 with sales of more than $16 billion for the quarter. For all of this year, Deere is expecting net income to be between $9.25 billion and $9.5 billion. That's up from what management predicted back in February. Deere says favorable marketing conditions and an improving operating environment are helping push sales. It also says it's seeing improvement in supply chain issues. December corn bounced back above $5 to end last week, but soybeans continue to slump. What can we expect this week? Michelle Rook is back with a look ahead with Don Rose of U.S. Commodities.
And Don, a lower day in the grains on Friday, lower weekly closes across the board. We did try to recover on Friday, but it seemed like the debt ceiling talks and how they blew up kind of put a damper on some of that recovery.
Yeah, when you look at it, Michelle, this market is very fragile technically. And, the market did have a good recovery here mid-session on Friday. But then again, when you run into any news that is negative, the market technically, you get a lot of technical selling. So end of the week, technical selling across the board on the grain market. If it's not the debt ceiling concern, it's the slow exports. We just need to get to another piece of news that gives us some strength. And that's probably looking forward, Michelle, this time of year. Almost as soon as you get the crop planted, you're talking about weather. And I think the next 90 days, I think you get a prelude this week what's going to happen. I expect it's going to be a very volatile summer as we starting out with some big expectations on the production out here. We'll see if that materializes, Michelle.
So true. Very negative supply and demand fundamentals for the week, but the funds really hammered this market. And do you think as we start a new week, they're going to continue that mode? Are they going to continue to sell?
Well, it's a little bit different now, Michelle, because we're at a lot different level than we were. If you look at the government's cash price, they have $4.80 average cash price for this next year on corn. They have $12.10 on soybeans. And historically, this time of year, while their numbers can change, they haven't been that far off historically. So I think when you look at it from the price level we're at, the full growing season ahead of us, we did try to base on Friday. We got hit with some negative news. And, we reacted not terrible as far as the corn market on that. So let's see if this last week was something to build on. And I'm sure this weather forecast, soon we're going to be talking what's the forecast and what's the crop prospect look like. And, that's probably coming up soon, if it's not next week, the week after, Michelle.
Let's hope we can hold on to that $5 level there in the December corn. We've been teetering right on it. Thanks so much for joining us, Don Rose, U.S. Commodities, and we'll have more Ag Day coming up.
For all your risk management and trading needs, call one of the U.S. Commodities specialists at 800-247-4071.
Just a little bit ago, we took a look at the temperatures this week. Now here's May 24th through the 28th in regards to the precipitation outlook. We got the heat back up here near the border, but also I know there is some green, but this is looking a little bit drier where that ridge is setting up, not only back out here towards the Dakotas, but especially into the Midwest where that high pressure is going to suppress a lot of the rainfall activity. And I mentioned this last week as well. Even though there is some green, we're not in the drought busting wetter than normal category. These are going to be showers or thunderstorms that kind of roll through. And what this says is now there is not any big systems tracking across the United States anytime soon. If we had that signal, we'd be seeing green all across the United States, or at least through the United States. Rather, what we're getting is a pattern that is going to be very stagnant. And one of the other ways to look at this is extending this out. And May 26th through June 1st, there isn't a big change. In fact, let me flip this back and you can kind of see where that green is located and where the brown is located. If we go out into about a week, if not 10 to 14 days from now, it's still there. The brown, below average rainfall, and the green, which means that pattern that we're seeing this week is set to persist into next week as well. And just to revisit, May 24th through the 28th, above average high temperatures for a good portion of the nation with some cooler air back down near a low pressure system in the southeast. So again, that jet stream staying very stagnant and kind of sequestered up here towards the north. Any energy that comes down on the west coast will ride up over the ridge, as you can see right there, or stay lacked back down here to the southwest. So again, that pattern persisting through this week and Memorial Day weekend. Oakley, mostly cloudy, high around 74 degrees, low about 53 degrees. Let's head up to Indiana, Knox, Indiana, sunny, high around 78 degrees for a Monday, low about 52 degrees. And Wheeling, West Virginia, mostly sunny, high around 78 degrees.
One item is due to be a hot one at auction this week. Machinery Pete condenses the numbers down on balers.
My friend Greg Cook, owner of KDK Sales and Equipment in Washington, Iowa, sent me a fun little video preview end of last week of a pair of Sharp tractors they have selling on auctiontime.com online auction this Wednesday and Thursday. And towards the end of the video, Greg kind of mentioned almost offhandedly, oh, by the way, We also have on the auction on Wednesday, May 24th, a John Deere 338 baler off the George McCracken, a local farm retirement line. And this baler has under 200 bales through it total. Here's a picture of it. You can see beautiful sharp rig. You can go to machinerypete.com and you can check out 55 more pictures of this thing. And again, it sells Wednesday, May 24th, absolute. Now that did get me thinking on John Deere 338 baler values, so I got poking around our machinerypete.com website. And of course, our auction prices are free for you to view there. Found some interesting stats. So the last 36 John Deere 338 balers sold, the average price is $6,622, which is very interesting to know. I also did find, though, a pair of John Deere 338 sold just the last 18 months for $16,000 each, which is tied for the second highest auction price ever on a 338. Here's a picture of one of them. This sold on an auction back in, it was in Mount Sterling, Ohio on February 22nd, 2022. It's a 2014 model, very sharp unit. And oh, by the way, the all-time record price on a 338 baler at auction is $17,000. It was on May 4th, 2010, farm sale in Palmyra, Missouri. And that 338, the description said it was a one owner, and you could still see the original paint on the pickup teeth.
All right, thanks, Greg. Up next, the search for solutions to feed a growing world.
I'm Charles Denny, research into crops and animals here on the University of Tennessee campus. A visit to the Smart Ag Lab. We'll meet some of the faculty and students working there. That story coming up on Ag Day.
In the Country on Ag Day is brought to you by Pivot Bio. What if you had the nitrogen you need already on seed? Pivot Bio is the first company to apply nitrogen on seed. The nitrogen you need, now on seed, from Pivot Bio. Learn more at pivotbio.com.
For the world to have a food supply, we need continued research in ag production and more efficient ways to raise animals and crops. And as Charles Denny of the University of Tennessee tells us, that's the goal behind the Smart Agriculture Lab, bringing solutions to challenges on the farm.
If you're growing plants in a nursery, you may be handling pots that weigh hundreds of pounds. Awkward, heavy, but necessary. Now students at the UT Herbert College of Agriculture have a design to help. A robotic system that can maneuver these things. A senior project they completed prior to graduation.
And we completely designed a gripping mechanism that'll close in around a pot, that'll grip on the pot and then lift it up out of the ground.
Smart sensing, smart analysis, and smart control. Robotics, sensors, and wireless networks are part of the Smart Agriculture Laboratory, operated by UTIA Biosystems Engineering and Soil Science. For students, it's an educational opportunity to improve farming.
And that's the great thing, is we're seeing a huge push for agriculture. We're finding that there's less and less farmers, but we still have a growing population. So we need to find ways, smart ag ways, of continuing to produce the amount of food that we need for our country and for the world.
The lab includes research on precision agriculture and crop yields, as well as real-time health monitoring of poultry and livestock herds across the state. Cameras, microphones, and computers are connected across Tennessee, linking the Smart Ag Lab with real animals. At this broiler operation, researchers watch chickens as they eat, drink, and grow. And a similar deal with beef cattle at the UT Ag Research Center in Spring Hill, where researchers track weight gain and feed consumption to maintain herd health.
One of the projects we are right now doing is to monitor their breathing, the respiration rate, and hoping to, by tracking each animal over time, we can see if they have any illness.
Hal Gann is the professor who oversees the Smart Ag Lab, where a number of unique projects are underway. This farm model was designed by a student, matching the goal of the lab to find new ways of increasing agricultural efficiency.
And then I can point to the smart farm model to say, hey, here we get this system going on, here we can develop this system. So our lab right now, we are basically developing AI solutions to challenges in agriculture.
Research and education coming together to produce clever ideas and solid results. This is Charles Denny reporting.
All right, thanks, Charles. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in on a Monday. From all of us here at AgDay, have a great day out in farm country.
Closed captioning on AgDay is brought to you by BASF, helping you do the biggest job on Earth.